On today's episode of Telling Your Asset Management Story, we have Mark DeVore from the Delaware Technical Community College. Mark's career path has been anything but ordinary. He's a former U.S. Coast Guard engineer who went on to lead major construction projects for the state, and he now oversees facilities across all 4 Delaware Tech campuses. He'll talk about how his military and public sector experience shaped his approach to managing the college's infrastructure. Mark was actually the first person to hold this role for the college, tasked with breaking down campus silos and streamlining operations college-wide. Listen in to Mark's insights on unifying diverse teams, maintaining everything from historic buildings to high-tech labs, and where he sees campus facilities heading in the future. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us on Telling Your Asset Management Story. Really excited to hear about your journey and where you see the facility infrastructure asset management world today and going in the future. And Mark, I'm always fascinated by how people got to where they are in their careers. It's often a very interesting journey. So if we could start there, can you tell us a little bit about your personal journey and history and how you ended up where you are today?
Sure. Well, I'm a U.S. Coast Guard Academy graduate, so I started my career in the military. I was an engineer in the Coast Guard doing active duty for about 12 years, doing work on shore facilities all over the country, mainly in the southeastern part of the country.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Anyway, got my master's in civil engineering at the University of Illinois. Go Illini! After I left active duty in the Coast Guard and came to Delaware about 28 years ago. I'm originally not from Maryland. I'm originally from Maryland, not from Delaware, but I'm originally from Maryland. So I was somewhat familiar with Delaware. But anyway, started working on state facilities, doing capital work and projects and so forth as chief of engineering for facilities management division, and worked there for a while doing all kinds of projects, very interesting stuff: prisons, hospitals, state police barracks, courthouses. They were always fun. DMVs, did all the DMVs across the state. Very, very interesting project. So historical work as well.
Oh, wow.
Before there's a lot of history in Delaware and so forth. So I also continued my military career with the Delaware Air National Guard. So I joined them when I got here and finished off my career there doing civil engineer, base engineers duties with them as well. And that was very interesting. Came here to the college in 2018. So this was kind of a new position that they established at the college to kind of oversee all of the different campuses that we have and to provide, expertise and enhance efficiencies across the college. So it was a new position. It was, I've had a lot of fun here so far, and I look forward to a few more years as well.
That's excellent. Well, can you tell us a little bit about the college? Mark, tell us, a little bit about the buildings, the history, your role there, and maybe a little bit about, if you were the first person in this role, right? Tell us about how that was coming in and what things you had to set up and sort of those first early days. That would be, I think, really interesting for our audience.
Well, Delaware Technical Community College, we shorten it and call it Del Tech, has been around since 1966. Like to hear the story that in the late 60s, there was a lot of things happening with community colleges. They had passed some laws at the federal level. So a lot of the community colleges you see in the United States started up in the 60s. A lot of it had to do with Sputnik, believe it or not, and the space race.
Interesting.
They wanted... The feds realized that we were getting behind in our technical education, so they started up these community colleges. So Del Tech started up in 1966. Its first campus was in Georgetown, which is in the southern part of the state. And actually, we took over the Black High School. The Jason building was our first building, which used to be the Black High School. And then, as you know, in the 60s, there was a lot of transformation going on and desegregation of schools and so forth. So it was very
Interesting.
good timing for the college as we started. And anyway, we've expanded to 4 locations throughout the state. We have
Oh,
4
nice.
campuses, all the way from Wilmington, Stanton, or Christiana. It's right along I-95 if you've ever come through there. I'm down here at the Dover campus, and then we have our oldest and largest campus down in Georgetown. So we have about 60 buildings total, give or take, about 1.5 million square feet. And
Nice.
so our Wilmington campus is very vertical,
Hmm.
high rises. Stanton is kind of more of a commuter campus with wings and so forth, all in one location. And then Dover and Georgetown are more your traditional type campus locations where you've got separate buildings and facilities and so forth that
Okay.
are kind of nearby. So um, we have a total of about 100 acres at
Oh,
the
nice.
Dover site and 200 acres down at the Georgetown site. And the northern campuses are smaller area as well. We have several athletic programs at the college, but no dorms, thank God. So we don't have to we don't have to deal with dorms. We're a community college. So anyway, we're partially state supported in our operations and capital budget. About 120 staff total,
Oh, nice.
if we're fully staffed. And coming into the position, our president at the time, Dr. Mark Brainerd, he was consolidating a lot of different positions and centralizing functions college-wide. So
Okay.
years ago, the college suffered from being separate colleges, so to speak.
Oh,
Each
okay.
campus kind of worked as its own little college, and they even had separate budget hearings, and it was really weird.
Wow.
And we had some accreditation folks say, "Well, are you one college or are you 4 different colleges?" So we've since done a lot of work in the last 10 years to uh, make ourselves more one college and work kind of cohesively. And my position was part of that. So they
Excellent.
centralized IT, they centralized public safety, and they centralized um, facilities. So
Nice.
what I was primarily tasked to do was to get those 4 different campuses to work consistently and the same as much as possible, and as well as provide technical oversight and a central location for capital work, because it was difficult for each campus to kind of do their own capital work independently.
Sure.
So
Yeah, acting like the bigger school that you are instead of 4 small schools.
exactly.
Oh, that's interesting. I imagine that was that was very rewarding, but also probably a little challenging to get everybody,
Yeah, it was.
marching to the
It was
same beat kind of thing.
it's
So,
been very rewarding. I mean, I work for the vice president of finance at the office
okay.
of the president, so I'm a central um, administrator, so to speak. But at each campus, we have a vice president campus director. So
Oh, okay.
um, I I really do a lot of work for them because they're kind of like my clients.
Right.
So anyhow, even though I get my resources and direction from centrally here from the vice president for finance, I still do a lot of work with those individual campuses and clients at that level, because that's where that's where the need is. So
Right. Excellent. Well, I mean, looking at since 2018 and kind of looking at where you are right now, Mark, maybe can you share sort of your top 2 or 3 facility asset management challenges that you've had, or have now, and the
sure,
strategies that you use to overcome them or to manage them?
sure. Well, when we got here, well, when I got here, one of the things that was definitely apparent was that the capital plant was old.
Mm-hmm.
It was run down. A lot of the buildings were um, dated either back to the 60s or the 70s or in the 90s. There was a few buildings built in the 90s, but
Okay.
most of these had never had any major renovations done to them.
Oh,
They've had small work over the years. So we had somewhere close to $100 million backlog
wow.
of deferred maintenance, and with no really good way of attacking it. The college had gotten capital money over the years, but it had been smaller sums like $5 to $10 million a year or something. And sometimes you can't do a lot with small
Yeah.
amounts of money like that. It's hard to plan. And the other thing was it, it was hard to do bigger projects that were multi-year.
Right.
So one of the things that was happening even before I got here was our political leadership, our president and the vice president of finance at the time, they did a lot of lobbying with the legislature and some of the
Nice.
leadership in Delaware government to kind of explain what was going on with the college and the need for some capital renewal. We did a college-wide assessment. We engaged a firm to do that, and before the college had done assessments at each campus.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
There's the
Everybody
same.
doing their own thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So we did one comprehensive assessment, confirmed where our numbers were, and when we used those numbers to go to our through our board of trustees,
Hmm.
we are run by a board of trustees that are appointed by the governor, and lobby both the political leadership, local employers. The college does a lot of work with local employers trying
Nice.
to match with the needs of the marketplace and so forth.
That's great.
We take that very seriously. The community on our name, being a good
Yeah.
partnership with our community state. So lobbying for that, and we were able to get the legislature to commit to a level of funding that allowed us to move forward with a lot of different projects
That's
in the last
awesome.
few years. And then, of course, we were fortunate to get some federal money from the American Rescue Plan as well. It helps to have friends in high places, so we got some pretty decent funding there. So we were able to
That's
catch up
great.
on a lot of our backlog of capital projects. So we are going to be updating those numbers here over the next year and seeing where we're at. We know that we've invested probably over $100 million
Wow.
in the college over the last 3 or 4 years,
That's awesome.
given the federal money we've got in the state funds. So we've gotten a good chunk out of that done.
That's great.
However, as you know better than most, it's not a simple arithmetic when it
No.
comes to backlog. So it continues to grow. So
Yep.
it's not like the $100 million is now gone and so forth. So we've explained that to our board and some of the political leadership about that. That we're still working on a number of items that we need to take care of, but the overall condition of the campus is a lot better. So.
That's great. Mark, you mentioned your leadership within the school really kind of buys into the idea of managing your deferred capital renewal and maintenance backlog. Did that happen? Like, did you just come into that situation? Was there some type of a coaching or a training? Like a lot of folks I talk to would love to have that level of engagement at that senior high level. So did you come into it and luck into it, or did you help build it, or how did that work?
There was already a push going on that they had recognized that there was an issue.
Right.
However, I was able to assist greatly in getting a firm that I had been familiar with my NASFA friends and so forth, that had specialized in doing higher educational facilities and doing that college-wide assessment, as opposed to using local engineers and so forth, which is what architects and which is what they did in the past, which isn't a bad way to do it, but I think it spends a lot of time and money on hiring experts to look at the things that we kind of already know what
Hmm.
the problems are. So the process was a little different with this firm. They came in, they interviewed us, and we gave them most of the information, and then they compiled it and so forth. So I think in answer to your question, Bill, the biggest thing is coming up with the right slides and format and information to
Hmm.
tell that story. I think is very important, and we did do that. So
That's great.
we had there's a number of times during the year where our board will meet and go over agenda items and so forth, and um, we've used the fall retreat, and the fall is kind of a chance to talk about our facilities issues,
Hmm.
some of those sort of things. So we did educate our board members on that at a couple of our fall retreats, and I think that was very helpful
Excellent.
to try to get them understanding it, because it can be a complex topic for folks to understand. So
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of taking all the technical information in the world that you and your team lives in, and telling a story that resonates with the senior executive. I mean, you've obviously been very successful at it because you've been able to get, as you said, $100 million over the last number of years for your campus, which is great. I always say those with the best data win when it comes to funding, and I think you've
yeah,
you've,
no,
you've proven that
I
you've
would
proven that out.
wholeheartedly
So
agree. Absolutely.
obviously been busy with a lot of the capital renewal things, Mark. Any other kind of top challenges or issues that you're juggling, or have you been
Yeah.
locked in on
So
the capital renewal?
one of the other things that happened, obviously, was COVID. Uh,
Hmm.
so that hit the college like it did all higher education. We took a little bit of a hit. Um, it was a little less than 10%
Okay.
when it comes to our, but we're now back to pre-COVID levels
Oh,
on
that's
our
great.
enrollment, which is all good. So that was a big challenge for a while, because all of my staff, we continue to come in and operate just
Hmm.
like as
Can't
normal.
operate a building from home.
Yeah, you can't do facilities from home, but um, the college. But interestingly enough, the college within, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks transitioned all of its classes that they could
Wow,
to remote, and they had been talking about it for years, and it just jump started it whenever
that's
COVID
awesome.
came in, and they still do a lot of things remotely. Um, there's kind of a balance there.
Hmm.
Obviously you can't teach some things like nursing, uh,
Hmm.
and a lot of the industrial construction skills, this way.
Yep.
You have to do it hands on. Um, so the college is still offering those options from time to time, and some students love it, some students hate it. Some are like, I got to be there, or else I'm not going to be focused, and some like the flexibility of it. The college has a lot of what we call non-traditional students. We have older graduates.
Hmm.
We have at least a dozen or so graduates that are 50s and 60s when
Oh,
they get their
nice.
degrees. Every year it's really
Hmm.
cool,
That's
as
awesome.
well as single parents. That sort of thing. So it's a little bit different than what you would see at a typical 4-year university and so forth.
Hmm.
So we do like to offer that. So that was one of the challenges. Um, but hiring has also been a big challenge,
Yeah.
just keeping our staff levels up, especially some of the skilled trades. Um, it's very difficult to fill those. And some, also, in addition to some of the skilled trades, some of the lower level um, positions that we have, like our sanitation positions and so forth, they're pretty much at minimum wage, and
Hmm.
a lot of times these days, you know, companies with much easier jobs than being a sanitation worker are offering
Yeah.
more than minimum wage. So um, it's sometimes tough to fill that. So we've dealt with that. Our vacancy rate has been anywhere between 5 and 20%.
Okay.
It's down in the 10% range now, which isn't bad. that's
Hmm.
reasonable. We can work with that. But that's one of the challenges that we've dealt with, just trying to keep that up because we know long term, as we get these facilities fixed and up to a certain level, we've got to maintain that, or else we're
Yeah.
just going to go right back down the curve. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and with all the new technologies and things coming into buildings, being a building tech isn't the same as it was in a
no,
building 30 years ago either, right? So it's not only finding the people, but it's also kind of having the skills to deal with the modern technology that we're putting in buildings.
yeah,
So yeah, I wish there was an easy solution for the staffing thing. I know it's a fairly common issue and challenge that we hear from folks. And I guess, do you have programs that support, like the
yeah,
programs
yeah.
at the
We've done
college
a
that
few things.
support?
Yeah, we've done a few things, Bill. You know, we are a college, so we should be
Hmm.
able to teach people. So
Hmm.
we've worked on that, and the college has spent a lot of time looking inward,
Oh,
not
okay.
just in facilities, but all of the staff within and both academic as well as the other faculty staff at the college, looking at professional development. So the
Nice.
college leadership realized the professional development was an issue. It came up in surveys, and
Hmm.
so we've done a lot of work on that in facilities. We've got a number of apprenticeships going right
Oh,
now
that's
on the
awesome.
technical side. We're trying to get that on the HVAC side. It's a little bit more difficult on that, but we are working on that. We enhanced our tuition reimbursement, our
Hmm.
tuition policy, so that folks can take classes at the college for free,
Oh,
uh,
nice.
which is really helpful. So we're trying to grow some of these folks, and it's been successful. We've seen a
That's
lot of
great.
people move up. It's always great when somebody moves up, but unfortunately, that leaves another hole you have to fill.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah, you got to backfill behind them, right?
yeah, but
So
we've done pretty well with that. So
that's awesome.
I think that that's one of the things that definitely we would look to as a success story, and I would
That's
encourage
awesome.
other organizations to do the same. You're just going to have to grow them. You can't expect to pick them off the tree. I mean, so
Yeah. It's one of the advantages that higher ed institutions have, right? Is you're in the education business. So, compared to a hospital or to a state or local
yeah,
government, there is a bit more of an internal capacity to do that. So I'm glad you guys are taking advantage of it. Um, Mark, we talked a little bit about kind of today and the past and kind of how you got there. Let's turn our attention to the future. And you've had a really diverse and unique history, getting to where you are today. Where do you see the world of facility and infrastructure asset management, going and evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
yeah. Um, Yeah, thanks. I think one of the things that I would say, a lot of people are talking about AI and so forth, and
Hmm.
I don't think anybody really knows where that's going right now. I mean, I certainly don't.
Hmm.
But anyway, because while AI may give us better diagnosis and analysis tools,
Hmm.
there's still somebody's going to have to take their hands and fix it.
Hmm.
Facilities is still kind of a very hands-on job and so forth.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things that I encourage and we're spending money on, and I talk a lot to our staff about, is enhancing building automation. I
Okay.
think building automation is the real thing that will help facilities in the future, because we know that resources are always going to be a challenge. It's always
Yeah.
going to be a challenge to get staff, to get enough staff, and so forth. And the days of having one person in every building are kind of over.
Right.
Nobody has those luxuries anymore. So I see BAS systems as a force multiplier, especially when you can get more notifications and alarms and so forth. So you can perhaps even detect problems by looking at
Hmm.
trending and so forth. So I see building automation as one of the big things in the future that will certainly um, be continue to grow. Um, and the other thing is just taking I think the various systems, and I know your firm has done some work on this, taking the various different information systems we have in facilities management, the assessments, the work order systems, even BAS, and trying to get those to talk to each other,
Yeah.
and so you have cross information there and so forth. I think that's one of the areas that's going to be really, big in the future, where you can um, just, whether it's all going to be in one system or in different diverse systems that network and talk. I don't know, but I think that's going to be definitely a trend that we see. The other thing I would say is just the whole idea of remote work, and
Mhm.
and as far as using these and tablets and so forth. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. Certainly, our younger workers are much more attuned to that and expect. The older folks, such as myself, it's a little bit of a transition
Yep.
sometimes to figure out the new technology. But the young folks they're right on board. They want to do it that way, and I think as we move forward, you're going to see more stuff being done on tablets and phones and so forth, tying into those central systems. So the connectivity issues, and we work a lot with our IT section to
Oh,
on
good.
technology. There's a lot of technology that goes into our new buildings these days from a standpoint of teaching and so forth. So we're trying to make sure that it also works with the things that we do as well.
Excellent. Uh, Mark, you mentioned NASFA earlier, and we're both members. So, and a lot of the folks in our audience are going to come from that public sector facilities world. Given your history with the association, and not just NASFA specifically, but just in general industry associations, any advice or recommendations to folks that maybe aren't engaged in those types of associations?
Yeah, I would just encourage them to reach out. I mean, I've been with NASFA for about 15 years now, and I really, and even though NASFA's been around for over 30 or 35 or something like that, I can't remember, but I really wish I'd have been with them earlier, because sometimes facilities can seem like a lonely business,
Mm-hmm.
and you really don't, have folks and friends to call on, but
Right.
boy, when you're a part of an organization like NASFA, you do.
Awesome.
It's very helpful to have those connections and at your fingertips, where you can call people, because we all have. It's amazing. Every time I go to a conference, everybody's got the same issues. It
Yeah.
really There's a whole lot of themes that just keep repeating themselves, and I've tried to learn as much as I can um, in my career, but it's hard to know everything in facilities,
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
really
Especially
can't.
as with everything changing so quickly, right?
Yeah, and you gotta know who to call. A lot
Hmm.
of times I'll get questions, and I'm like, I don't know the answer, but I know who to call.
Right.
So that, and being involved in organizations like NASFA and others, I think are very helpful to be able to have those connections and those folks that you can call and say, hey, have you ever done this? Well,
Yeah.
what's up with this? And you'd be surprised at the help that you can get.
Awesome. Well, thanks. And just for those who don't know, Mark and I are talking about NASFA. That's the National Association of State Facility Administrators. So any state-funded entity in the U.S. is open and able to
Yeah,
join.
as
So
well as local governments. So
as well as, yeah, as well
yeah,
as local governments, absolutely. So if you are looking for a peer network to share ideas and maybe share a little misery every once in a while too, right?
we,
Then check out
yeah.
NASFA, or find the industry association that aligns best with your business. So Mark, thanks very much. Any final comments or things that you'd like our audience to hear
No,
from you
no,
today?
I would just say, I've had a great career in facilities. It's a wonderful um, it's a wonderful career. Can it be frustrating at times? Absolutely.
Can't
But
they all?
but you have to take it one day at a time. I mean, I tell folks that I hire, you know, You might have tough days. You might be frustrated at times. I said, but you'll never be bored.
That's
You'll
true.
not be bored in the facilities field because you never know what could happen. Last week we had a sinkhole. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
there's,
Yeah.
there's there's always something that comes up. So anyway, it's always interesting, and I would recommend it as a career to everyone. I know that there's a lot of um, folks that looking for a career and looking for a place to find their niche, and I think facilities is a great one. It's been good to me. Um, I we don't always get the fanfare and the celebrations,
Hmm.
like some might do, but I know, in my heart, what I'm doing makes a difference, and I know it's made a difference for my state, my community,
That's
and the
awesome.
college, and it's great to look out and see things that you've done to make things improved. I always try to follow this Boy Scout motto: "Leave it better than where you found it."
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's kind of, I guess, my advice.
Awesome. Well, it certainly sounds like you've done that, Mark, with your time with the college, having helped shepherd through all that extra work. I thank you very much for your time. I think this was great. I hope our audience appreciates all the insights that you shared in telling your asset management story. And we'll see you either on the next NASFA conference call or at the next NASFA conference. Thanks a lot,
Thank
Mark.
you, Bill. Thank you. It's been an honor.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed hearing from Mark DeVore about his journey from the Coast Guard to higher education facility asset management. Mark shared how working on everything from military bases to state courthouses prepared him to modernize a multi campus college. He emphasized the importance of building one cohesive facilities team out of formerly separate campuses and how bringing a fresh perspective can drive efficiency and innovation. Mark's story shows a broad background and a willingness to try new ideas that can make a huge difference in campus infrastructure. A big thank you to Mark for sharing his experience and passion with us, and thank you for listening to this episode of Telling Your Asset Management Story.